Hunter x Hunter is a special anime. Where else can you find a protagonist who's been abandoned by his deadbeat father?
What do you mean those things aren't hard to find in anime?
A kid with red eyes trying to avenge his massacred clan?
You have a point.
Where else can you find a murderous clown that has a weird obsession with strong kids?
What do you mean that isn't appropriate?
Just play the intro.
だから殺先生って
Do you find vengeance evil? What's your value of friendship?
ありがとうプラチナがどんだけ
All jokes aside, one of the things that makes Hunter x Hunter so special is its power system, Nen. Now, in no way is Nen simple, so I will not be spending loads of time to explain to you how Nen works and the contingencies and different things of that sort, but I will explain it to an extent so we can get into what I really want to do today. Speaking of things I want to do today, I have to reveal what the goal of this video is, and that's to find the Nen Masters that have existed in our world. Now, no, I'm not saying Nen exists, but what I am saying is, if it did, these are the people I think likely are Nen users and what affinity they fall into. Now, speaking of affinity, let me explain to you what Nen Affinity is. In the Hunter x Hunter world, every human has Nen. It's kind of like your inner aura. If you watch Naruto, it's similar to chakra, honestly, and it's a lot similar to every other power system that ever came out, because I think it's kind of one of the building blocks for a great power system. In this diagram, you'll see that there are 6 different Nen Affinities that you can actually fall into. And the way that it works is, if you're in this section, which is probably enhancement, then the other 2 sections closest to you are also the second best things you're probably going to be at. And then the further you get away from your original affinity, the harder it is to get abilities in those sections. Next, I kind of want to look at the descriptions of each section. So let's start with enhancement and go all the way around. So enhancement is strengthening themselves or objects. Transmutation is changing the quality or aura to match something else. Conjuration is creating objects from aura. Keep that in mind, you're gonna need that later. Specialization is a unique effect. Manipulation is controlling inanimate things. And emission is detaching aura from the body. Now, if you want a deeper explanation of how Nen works and all the other different idiosyncrasies that come with Nen, I suggest you go to New World Review's video. He did like an hour-long video. That's how deep Nen goes. But we're trying to have fun here, so we did a quick explanation. With that being said, we're gonna start with Transmuters and Conjurers. So in order to find these Conjurers and Transmuters, we have to remember what they do. They create objects from aura, and the Transmuters, they change the quality or aura to match something else. So one thing this makes me think about is the York New City arc in Hunter x Hunter. Gon and Killua were trying to raise a bunch of money so that they could go to this video game called Reed Island, but they needed like a crazy amount of money. So they needed to go through this market and find things of value and resell them. One way they did that is they coated their eyes with aura so they could see things that were made of Nen or maybe had Nen residue. Who might have done something like that? Someone who was maybe unknowingly a transmuter or unknowingly a conjurer? So my first thought to find any type of conjurer or maybe a transmuter is like, let's look in the art industry, right? And then I stumbled upon a Nen master. That's right, the first person that I actually unearthed and have the audacity to say that this person possibly had Nen is Leonardo da Vinci. No, I'm not talking about the Ninja Turtle. Leonardo da Vinci was known as an inventor and an artist. But I know what you're thinking. Mr. All Anime, how can you just label him a conjurer slash transmuter? What do you have? Well, I want to tell you some things that Leonardo da Vinci had a hand in inventing. Things he made blueprints for, and you tell me if somebody should be able to think of this stuff in the 1400s. Let's start. Underwater diving suit, parachutes, armored car, triple barrel cannon, a kite. Okay, that might have been made in the 1400s. Helicopter, I think not. And the use of solar power. This guy was conjuring these blueprints. He was like, hey yo, I'm just saying, people that we may think are genius inventors may just be conjuring these blueprints from their aura. That's all I'm saying. But it doesn't really stop there, because Leonardo da Vinci was not just an inventor, he was also an artist. And some of the things that Gon and Killua found were vases that were constructed with the use of aura. So, one of the things that I think is definitely imbued with buku aura is gonna be the Mona Lisa, a painting that works like a photograph where the eyes follow you no matter where you are. That sounds like Nen to me. With that being said, yes, I do think some of the most monumental painters and artists and creators were definitely Nen users. People like Michelangelo, Picasso, and even Van Gogh. I think all of them used Nen to construct the things that they made. For the killjoys that may enter the comment section, no, I do not think Nen exists, and I am not taking credit from these people. Have some fun, please. Other people who I think might fall into this category is also like music producers, because they take samples from older songs and then they change those samples into something special. In my eyes, that's transmuting. So that's kind of the people that I think will fall into this category. I also think tattoo artists could possibly be conjurers. You think they're using a needle and ink. No, that's aura in your arm. Don't let these people manipulate you into thinking that they actually creatives. They not creatives. Speaking of manipulators, let's move over to the manipulation category. Now, some of you are like, that didn't really make sense, but guess what? One of the most known manipulators in the whole show of Hunter x Hunter is Illumi Zoldyck of the Zoldyck family. Illumi's ability is to take these needles and he can use them to either manipulate his own body or to take control of others. So he's actually changed his entire physique by placing these needles into his body. But at the same time, he's also thrown these needles to buku people all around and taken control of their actions and controlled what they can do. Now, really, using needles to change the appearance of someone. Plastic surgeons are freaking manipulators with Nen. They're not using Botox. They're using aura. But see, me personally, I think that's the easy answer. So I want to focus on the ability where he throws these imbued needles at people and takes control of them, because I think there's an interesting category of human that may possibly be using this ability. For instance, Taylor Swift.
What do you mean I'm gonna get doxxed or canceled?
Bro, that's the freaking point. It's no secret that Taylor Swift has an extreme amount of followers that really fall to her becking whim. When it comes to impact with humans, Taylor Swift has pull. I think this year she made the NFL $330 million more just from popping up on the screen in between games, rooting for her boyfriend. That type of impact has to be the impact of someone with a manipulator Nen affinity. Another manipulator that comes to mind is Jean-Paul Basquiat. One thing that's extremely impactful in the art industry is being able to convince people that your art is good. Art is subjective, so it's all about how you relay your opinion of your art and make people accept it. Who's better to do that than a manipulator? And I'm not saying that Jean-Paul isn't talented and that the art that he does isn't valuable, but I'm gonna need you to look at this painting and tell me it's worth 110 million. Yeah, nah, big dog. No. But that's enough about manipulation. Let's go into another category, one of my favorite categories, and that's enhancement. I love this category mainly because the main characters in this category, and these tend to be simple people, but we about to throw that all out the water. People I think definitely fall into the enhancement category would be MMA fighters, athletes, and dancers. But one of the main people I want to throw in the enhancement category is someone like Simone Biles. Simone Biles has multiple moves that are literally named after her that cannot be used because no one else can do them. You want to know why no one else can do them? Because they can't use Nen. Now there's two other enhancers I want to talk about. That's Muhammad Ali and Floyd Mayweather. Now of course some of the greatest Nen users have to be people who are constantly in combat. But the comparison I want to make is Nobunaga from the Phantom Troop. Nobunaga has an ability where he makes a bubble of aura. And if anything enters that bubble, he immediately knows it and can react to that. So I think Floyd Mayweather and Muhammad Ali have a similar ability. I think the way theirs work is they have the exact same bubble that he may have, but as soon as a punch enters it, they can't react but they also know exactly where the punches are coming from. So even though that they may have their block up, no matter what they may be doing, they can dodge in ways that most boxers aren't capable of doing. And I think any boxer that really dodges a lot and just dodges things that's humanly impossible, those are Nen users. Now I want to talk about a possibility that can be done with a Nen, and that's called a Nen Vow. What people can do is, in the world of Hunter x Hunter, they can place a Nen Vow upon themselves that creates a limitation to themselves, but it also increases their power in another category. One of the examples that we have is Komugi from the Chimera Ant art. The thing that's interesting about Komugi is she did not know about Nen, but she unknowingly made a Nen vow with herself that if she was ever to lose a game of Gungi, which was a form of like Japanese checkers, is that she would pass. Now placing that limitation or maybe even consequence on the situation, because Nen isn't flaky. Like if you place that Nen vow, Nen's gonna get the job done. So from in her doing that Nen vow, she then gets a more powerful output from the Nen that she was already using unknowingly, and it went straight to her brain, and it powered her to be able to come up with counters, come up with different strategies that have never been thought of before. Which moves on to some of the people I think are enhancers. Some of the first people I think of are writers and lyricists when it comes to music. Someone like Coldplay, who can make music out of feelings and emotions that we don't even know how to materialize ourselves, but he can make something so relatable and so touching that it affects all of us. Other comparisons are people like Eminem, Kendrick Lamar, J. Cole, people who take lyrics to a level that we've never seen before, and they have nothing to base this off of. I think they're using Nen vows or maybe just basic enhancement with their brains to take their brains to another level so they can think about things in a perspective that we have not seen before. Now, as special as that is, we already have a special category. It's literally in the name, and that's specialization. One of the most known specialists in the show is Kurapika. Now, the way Kurapika works, he's not always a specialist. The way it works is when his eyes turn red, which is usually the result of having deep emotions, he then becomes a specialist. And the way that works is he's 100% capable in every single Nen affinity. And that's where we come to Kanye West. When it comes down to it, Kanye is a wonderful producer, right? He can take samples and create amazing music that we've never seen before. He can conjure this music possibly. I don't know how he's doing it, but it has to be in one of these two categories, right? It has to be in either transmutation or conjuration. The thing that doesn't make sense is the blind loyalty that his fans have, which is way down here in manipulation. Now we could easily say, man, he's just that good of a transmuter slash conjurer, man. He just conjures up these great albums and that just has an effect on the people. But no, that's boring to me. I think that he's just like Kurapika. When it comes down to it, he used enhancement to take his brain to a further limit than most humans. Then he takes conjuration and conjures up this crazy album. And then he uses manipulation to literally get everyone to love it. And now we have graduation. All that being said, man, I'm just having fun. So that's what I think. If Nen was to exist in this world, these are the people who I think would have them. If you enjoyed the video, if you made it to this point, hit the subscribe button. There's literally no reason for you to get this far in the video and not subscribe. Go ahead and do that. Hit the comment section. Just drop an emoji just for engagement. That will help me out a lot. And you people have a good night.